Hello everyone, in this video we'll be looking at how to use Footnote and Endnote in Microsoft Word. The difference between a footnote and Endnote is where they are displayed in a document. So a footnote appears at the bottom of the page and an Endnote appears at the end of a document or section. So both references are created similarly. To begin, let's start to see how we can insert a footnote in our document. So you need to find where you want to position your footnote and click at that point. Let's say I want a footnote at this point, so I'll click on it. Hover my mouse to where I have references, click on it, and where you have footnotes group, you would see insert footnote. Then you click on the footnote. Once you click on the footnote, you will notice there's a number that comes in there. You need to put a reference. So I have something that I already copied out from the internet. So this simply tells me that number one here references this point here. So if I point at it, you will see that reference at the footnote. So let's say I also want to add another footnote. Position your cursor as to where you want the footnote to be. I could possibly want to add it here, but if you want your document to look well formatted, you can use a particular styling method. So I will click at this point to add another footnote. Then I hover my mouse to again the references, footnotes group, and click the button insert footnote. And you will notice it takes me again down to the footer, and at this point I could just type anything, maybe source that, and insert an address. So it doesn't matter how much footnotes you can insert, okay, but if you notice here there are not much space down here, so it's better to insert about 1 to 3 footnotes. So I'm going to stop at 2 footnotes. You can click on the footnote number here and it will take you to the reference in the document. All right, so you can see over there. Right. Secondly, you may not need to scroll down the document to see the footnote. You can just, point at that footnote there and it gives you the reference as to where that information is gotten or where your reader can get more information regarding this particular paragraph. The footnote number 2, you would also see the source there. Good. Now, if you go to that footnotes group, you would notice if I click on the next footnote, there's a more arrow there. I'll click the more arrow, and that gives me an idea that I can go to next footnote. If I click next footnote, it takes me to footnote number 2. And if I go back to the more arrow and say previous footnote, it takes me back to the previous footnote. The next thing we want to look at is how to add EndNote to this document. Now remember that the EndNote appears at the end of a document. Now it doesn't matter where the EndNote, the reference is inserted. So you need to position your cursor where exactly you want to insert an EndNote. So it could be at that point or somewhere here, it doesn't matter. It's all up to you where you want to insert your EndNote. Or perhaps I just created a heading here. So let's insert an EndNote at that point. I clicked the exact point I want to insert the EndNote, the reference tab, footnotes group, and insert EndNote. So I'll click on the EndNote. Now you would notice that it goes straight to the last page of the document. So let's go back, and you would also notice here it does have the Roman numeral and not 1. Okay, so now I have my reference. I'm just going to paste it at that point. And you can insert as much as you want, but let's work with just 2 EndNote. All right, so if I want to go to that section, I could double click that number there, and then it takes me to the exact point. And when I hover my mouse across that reference, it gives me the address where the information was gotten from. So let's look for somewhere else to insert another footnote, probably here. So I'll click at that point and go to Reference tab, Footnotes group, click on the Insert Endnote. Okay, now I got my reference for the second endnote. So you can just type in anything that you want, maybe source from, and then you paste where you got the reference from. And again, if I want to get to that point, I just double click my endnote and it takes me to where I have that. And when I hover my mouse across it, it gives me the reference of that information, or where I can get more detail about that paragraph or the information I'm trying to pass through. You can further format your endnote or footnote if you wish to. So let's go to the Reference tab again, Footnotes group. You would see that dialog box launcher. Click on it, and here we have the Footnotes and Endnotes dialog box. Now here you would see this is selected. Okay, so it says end of document. So you can choose whether it's end of section or end of document. By default is end of document, so I like it like that. So where we have footnote layout columns, it says by default we have it as match section layout. So you can choose to either choose 2 columns, 3 columns, or 4 columns. So this is important if you have a lot of footnotes or endnotes to add. At this point, we have format section. You would see number format. Okay, so if you look at this, you will notice here I have Roman numeral. When I did the footnote, it was coming as number 1, 2, and so forth. So the more arrow allows you to format it. So I'll be choosing 1, 2, 3. So my document looks nicely formatted instead of having the numbering in different formats. Custom mark, I can choose to add or insert a custom symbol if I want to. Start at, by default, the numbering of footnotes or endnotes starts from 1, but I may choose to increase it to start at 2. Now the numbering section here says continuous. Now if I click the more arrow, it says restart each section. Now the continuous means each time I want to add a footnote, it should continue from where it stopped. So I will have it in uniform like that, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. All right, now I can choose restart each section, meaning if I want to insert maybe on another page, it can start from 1 and so forth to count. But I love it to be in continuous format. Apply changes to whole document. Okay, that's what I want, and I'll click the button apply. And if you take note here, you would notice that the formatting has taken effect here. Now I have it as 1, 2. Now, if you want to see the endnote and footnote you just added to your document, go to the File tab, go to Print, and over here you would see your endnote. If I scroll up, you would see your footnote. Now, this brings us to the end of this video, straight to the point. I hope this helped you. If it does, remember to click the like button, subscribe, share the video to people, and I'll see you in my next video.